American Jews said, we're not going to go to Palestine. And the German Jews said, no, we're not going.
Right.
And so that's why the Zionist says, okay, because Fyodor wrote this in his book. He said, now, if you have an old prisoner in a prison and you open the door, he's so used to the prison he will not come out. So you got to kick him out. And that's exactly what they did with the transfer agreement, where they simply met with the Nazis, they made up plans, they had a bank, the Anglo-Palestine Bank. Germany took 25% of the Jews' finances. They could keep 75%. That was transferred to the Anglo-Palestine Bank in England, and then transferred down to a branch in Palestine. And then, of course, the Zionists took a cut. So the poor guy that would come from Germany got maybe 50% of his money. He was able to get out.
Oh, that's tough. So you've made a note here that Adolf Hitler got backstabbed. What was the backstabbing?
Okay, repeat my question.
Well, you made mention of Hitler getting stabbed in the back over this deal. Zionist German Jews allowed the transfer of some Jews to Palestine, but, yeah, they backstabbed him by making a deal with the British to get America involved in the war in return for Palestine. Can you amplify that a little bit?
Well, there was a lot of different intrigues. During the wars, for example, you had Hitler and Stalin made a pact in 1938, an eternal friendship pact, when Molotov and Ribbentrop, they signed an agreement where they had an alliance, and it infuriated the British and the French. And then, of course, there was a lot of double-crossing on all sides, so there was a lot of lies.
Understood. Okay. Well, maybe we can amplify that a little bit when we come back, because nobody wanted to go into World War I. They really didn't. America fought tooth and nail to keep from getting into World War I. Keep in mind that the Lusitania sinking was supposed to be the linchpin in all of this, right? Claimed it was carrying arms to Germany. But why would the New York Times, that has been reported repeatedly in numerous places, they would not run the ads that the German shipping companies wanted to place in the New York Times, warning people of certain routes and certain lines that they should not take because there was trouble brewing? We'll be back. You know the name of that song? Between a Rock and a Hard Place. As we visit here for the remainder of the hour with Pastor John S. Torell. Pastor, you're going to have to come back on the program at a really near point in future if you will allow the time, because each of the things that we want to discuss tonight are worth taking a few minutes with them. So there was a forced immigration of about 60,000 Jews to Palestine, the transfer of wealth through the purchase of German goods for export. But I wonder if we could roll these two things together here. How practitioners, let's call them the Kabbalistics, how have they used their Rothschild model to influence the U.S., and is that influence responsible for the shift from direct military action to, money games, economic and financial strategies in furtherance of global dominance?
Yes, after we had Sabbatai Sevar proclaim himself as a Messiah in 1666, 100 years later, we had another guy showed up. His name was Jacob Frank, and he was a Polish rabbi. And the world government at that particular time, which consists of a council of 13, there's only 12 people on it. The 13th is going to be their Messiah. They selected Ammer, who became Rothschild, and also they had Adam Weishaupt. So they had three people. They had Jacob Frank, Adam Weishaupt, and they had Rothschild. And Rothschild was going to be in charge of the finances, and Jacob Frank was in part of the making sure that the Kabbalistic system worked for the Jews. And then Adam Weishaupt, he became for the political. And so that's where we had the Illuminati started. And one of the first coup they did was the French Revolution that they pulled off. Then after they did that, the Rothschild then sent bankers, they sent people over here, and they were rebuffed by the founding fathers. They wanted a central bank. And the central fathers said, no, we don't want to go like in Europe. We don't want a central bank. And so eventually they did get the Federal Reserve Bank, which about 1913 came into being. So the influence have been, because the Kabbalistic Jew says to sin, he then serves God. So they branched out. So if we look upon the media, most of the media today is owned and operated, either owned by Jews or operated by Jews. Hollywood was a total business built by Jewish entrepreneurs from New York that built that up. And then we had the radio, television, still dominated by Jewish people. And so what they did with the movie industry, that was a golden calf for them, because they started out with nice movies, and then over the years, let's say in 100 years, the stuff we're getting out of Hollywood is garbage. And so they are simply leading us to sin. And the more we sin, the faster the serpent is going to come up. And then, of course, you have the porn industry in San Fernando Valley, which is another Jewish enterprise, where they make all the porn movies. So the media is controlled, banks are controlled, and it all goes back to the Rothschild and in 1700s, 1776, when Adam Weishaupt set his stuff up. So today, I'm labeled anti-Semitic, and I was labeled that a few years ago. I don't hate Jews. I love them just like I love everybody else. I want to see them saved. But it's enough. You say anti-Semitic, it's a brush, you get painted. No one asks, how is he anti-Semitic? It just sticks to you, and people simply, we don't want to talk to that guy. So,
yeah, well, they think Israel is a piece of real estate instead of a people. And they don't understand that certainly 90% of the time when they're calling people like you and people like me anti-Semitic, which they don't, because they don't in my case, because I have explained to them, I can't be anti-Semitic. I'm a Semite myself. The problem is you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You with me on this, or am I over there in left field there?
No, I agree with you. So what I brought out tonight is simply this. It is a religion of Kabbalah that the more you sin, the more you serve God. And that's why we see the destruction. And also that you have, there's no morality. So a Jewish businessman, he can lie and cheat as long as he's dealing with a Gentile. If he deals with a Jew, he has to be honest. And I don't know if you remember this guy, Milken, in the 80s. He would buy up factories.
I do remember.
And then he would just sell them up. He would just destroy them. Everybody lost their jobs. And he went after factory until he got caught up when he was, I think he did 10 years. Then they bailed him out.
Burned him out.
The bottom line is, we have all this stuff because of a religion called the Kabbalah,